Good morning, Eatonville. You are listening to yours truly, Emma Roberts. It's a beautiful Friday morning, and here we are at the WKVA station. It's located in Eatonville, Florida. It's only 81 degrees, the sun is shining brightly, and nothing to complain about here. Well, today we have 3 guest speakers for you. The first surprise guest speaker recently published a novel that takes place in our own Eatonville. Let's give a round of applause for Zora Neale Hurston. Hello there, Zora. How's everything doing with you?
I'm doing great. Hello, Emma. How's your life going?
Well, I'm great. Well, here we are, and we're at the station just trying to find out about this new novel that actually takes place in our own town of Eatonville. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about this novel?
Well, The Eyes Are Watching God is about a strong black woman trying to find her identity and be happy and discover who she really is.
Well, do you see yourself reflected in this main character? Because it sounds a little bit about what we're talking about with your history.
Actually, yes, I made it so that Janie, the main character, reflected my life. Though she had 3 husbands and I only had 2 at some point, it really did reflect my life with my strong struggle to be an independent black woman.
Well, we all know one different number in husbands doesn't make a change. So why don't you tell me a little bit about just how it reflects like the Harlem Renaissance and what it is about this book that's grabbing everyone's attention and getting all this publicity.
I think it really changed the view of the Harlem Renaissance and it really shows the struggle after we become free, what it's like to be a strong, independent black person. Because we were under slavery for so long, and now that we're free, we finally develop who we are and show our strengths and weaknesses.
Well, that sounds very interesting, and I recommend everyone to go out there and buy a copy of this novel and read it for yourself, because I'm telling you, there's a reason it's getting all of this publicity. Thank you so much, Zora. I hope you had a wonderful time here at the station, and we hope we can bring you back again with one of your next novels, whether it's one about yourself or even a new one with a fictional character.
Thank you so much.
Well, here we are back at the station. Now, our next surprise guest is a recently discovered poet who has also published several of his own works relating to the African American struggle for equality. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Langston Hughes.
Hello there, Zora. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. Hello there, Mr. Hughes. So, when did you start writing this poetry that you're becoming so famous about? I mean, I haven't seen you around here.
Well, Emma, I started writing during my schooling. I actually never had any interest in writing poetry, but I was elected to be class poet because I was black, and there was a common stereotype that black had rhythm.
Well, we all know that. That ain't no stereotype.
It was at about that time that I started to have interest in books and writing, so I eventually started to enjoy it.
Well, what were some of your inspirations for this poetry?
Well, there are many poets who have had an effect on me over the years, including Walt Whitman, Paul Laurence Dunbar, Carl Sandburg, and many other poets. I've always had a lot of books, and I've always had a lot of large influence on me.
Well, what are some of the more significant topics that you discuss in your poetry?
Throughout my life, I've always been astounded by the amount of racism in the world. My parents and ethnicity stem to almost every corner of the world, including Native American, Judaism, Scottish, European, and I can't even keep track of the rest. I have even left school due to racial prejudice there. My whole life has been scared by racial prejudice, and so it's been one of my main topics.
Well, I mean, is that why you left Columbia University?
Yes, ma'am.
That is very interesting. But, hey, we have one last question before we have to have you leave since we have another surprise guest coming. But you seem to come out of the middle of nowhere. How do you think your poetry became so widely known, Mr. Hughes?
Well, I had been working as a busboy at a hotel in 1925, and one of my clients was a famous poet, Vouch Lindsay. I decided to go on a limb and show him all my all my work, and he seemed to love it. In fact, he got a lot of it published. I already had a full book of poetry out and decided it would be publicized as the discovery of new American poets, so here I am.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Hughes. It was so nice talking to you. We're sorry we have to let you go here, but I hope everything goes well with you, and maybe we can bring you back at the station sometime. That's all we have for Mr. Hughes.
Thank you, Emma.
Is high. Oh, your dad is rich and your mom is good looking.
Well, if you can't notice, here in this WKVA station, we've only been playing the one and only Billie Holiday, because that is our third surprise guest that we have for you this morning. So why don't we give a round of applause for Mrs. Billie Holiday.
Well, hello, Emma.
Hello there, Billie. So, it's nice to have you here in the station. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your music and about your career?
Well, I moved here to New York in search of a better job with my mama. Here in the Harlem Renaissance is where I first started singing. I could go from club to club singing for tips. In one of these clubs, I met John Hammond, a famous music producer. This man changed my life. He introduced me to great jazz musicians that I would come to work with, like Benny Goodman, Teddy Wilson, Duke Ellington, Ben Webster, and most importantly, the saxist Lester Young. But one job specifically changed my life. I was the first woman and first African-American woman to play with Artie Shaw and his orchestra. I left because although I was a prominent member of the orchestra, I was not allowed to do anything the other members did, like go through the front door at places we played at. I faced a lot of racism through the clubs and houses I played at, so I decided I was going to work and play for the people who wanted to see me and thought me equal to them. I was able to do this and record my own music because of the Harlem Renaissance, this culture movement that enriched our community.
So are you saying that the Harlem Renaissance truly impacted your life and your career?
Yes, ma'am, it really did. It helped me with everything I did.
Well, hasn't it impacted all of us? Well, one of your most famous songs is Strange Fruit. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Well, Strange Fruit was written by Lewis Allen, a high school teacher from the Bronx. Barney Josephson, the owner of the Cafe Society where I performed a lot, showed me the song, and I was amazed by it. The song is about the lynching of 2 black African Americans, and it condemned racism. I started ending all my shows with Strange Fruit. The waiter would stop serving, the lights would go off, and I would sing this song from deep within my heart so that many people, and for everyone who was murdered because of their race. I thought it was time to record it, so I went to Columbia Records, which at the time recorded all my songs, to ask them to record it. They said no because the song was sending a very strong message, and they didn't know if the public was going to be outraged. But that didn't stop me. I knew the song could make a difference in the world. I wanted to make a difference. I thought it was a time to have a powerful song that spoke out about the injustice made every single day against our people, like lynching and racism, and not sit and let it happen. I finally did record it with another producer who made alternative jazz albums. As I look back now, I see that this song did make an impact. It became the anthem for anti-lynching movement. If it were not for the Harlem Renaissance, the new movement for African-American artists, and clubs like the Cafe Society, which was completely integrated, many great artists would not have heard it.
Well, that is very interesting, but that is all we have for you today there, Eatonville. And here we are with our lovely Mrs. Billie Holiday, and after hearing about this wonderful song, Strange Fruit, I just want you all to hear it for yourselves.